Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Lost Gotham TV. In this episode, we will be reviewing the Richard Laymon book, Resurrection Dreams. So, let's see. Resurrection Dreams, probably maybe the sixth or seventh of Richard Laymon's books that I read. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. It's definitely an interesting thing. There's a lot of interesting stuff that happens in this book, but for whatever reason, it doesn't make it into maybe my top five. I don't think, but it's definitely kind of above the midway point. Enough fun things happen in this book to keep it and make it a really interesting read. So Resurrection Dreams, you might kind of guess from the title, Resurrection. We're dealing with bringing people back from the dead. You know, this is a zombie novel. Okay, I like the way that zombies are handled. You know, this book, you know, it happened before the viral zombie kind of outbreak of things. I think this was like 1989, something like that. This is the 2005 American edition. I have, for some reason, even though this isn't my favorite book, it's probably maybe one of the books that I have the most copies of for some reason. Like, as I've gone around and gone to different thrift stores and things like that, for some reason it's one that I've grabbed more often than I've grabbed other ones. So I have like 3 different versions of this book, even though it's not one of my favorites. So yeah, it definitely has for me one of the best first chapters of any of the books. You know, I talked in a previous video about The Woods are Dark and how I didn't like the beginning of it. Resurrection Dreams is completely different. The first chapter just grabs you with the horror and the comedy of things. Maybe even the first couple of chapters. But we have this introduction to the characters, and then we have a time jump where we go from an incident that happens when the characters are teenagers to them coming back to town, you know, something like 10 years later, something like that. And so it has some interesting elements. It's very reminiscent of some other kind of late 70s, 80s kind of things. The idea of coming back and this previous trauma being reignited. And yeah, it's very interesting. It follows sort of parallel paths. We follow the good guy, the good girl, and the bad guy, kind of in tandem. We're jumping backwards and forwards between what each of them is doing and what's happening directly around them. And yeah, it's dealing with a character called Melvin, who wants to try to bring people back from the dead, and his attempts to become a Frankenstein, someone who is able to bring people back from the dead. And I won't comment on whether or not he is successful or not, but the methods that he uses to attempt to reanimate dead human tissue is very interesting and a lot of fun, I think. Definitely some cool gross out stuff. You know, we have the sex, we have the violence, we have the gross out stuff that are the hallmarks of Laymon's work. So it is definitely a solid read. Again, I don't know top 5, maybe top 10. I'll let you know after I've got a few more books under my belt here, rereading them, refreshing my memory as to their content. Yeah, Resurrection Dreams, solid read, well worth your time. Pick it up if you can. Like I said, I have some extra copies, so maybe at some point in the future, if you don't have a copy of Resurrection Dreams and you'd like one, maybe leave me a comment or hit some likes. And maybe if these videos start to get a little bit of popularity and stuff, maybe I'll give away some of my extra copies of things like Resurrection Dreams. So hit me up with a comment below and let me know if you'd like a copy. Maybe I'll send you one. Okay, so that's it for now. I will let you go, but I will see you next time.